What's up, guys? My name is Witty, and we are back on Palworld today to talk about how you can efficiently farm not only for cakes, but also for pizza at the exact same time. And this will allow you to kind of set up a base exclusively for farming. Now, I am doing this with a total of 15 pals, just so it is possible on default settings. You can actually sacrifice one of the Lylines and one of the Azerobes if you did want to make this a breeding base as well. That is very possible. Don't mind my Lyline that just got a fracture at the top right there. We won't talk about it. It is actually because I'm running on hardworking. We'll go ahead and lower that back to normal. The most important thing about this type of base setup is making sure, funny enough, that you manage the sanity of all of these pals because they will be working constantly. And essentially this is going to mean you need to have some kind of good food in the feed boxes, and you also need to have some kind of source of sanity regeneration. Now, I would recommend using better beds than the default ones. I would definitely recommend at least the fluffy ones, but if that's not something you can do, you should have plenty of the springs and saunas and stuff like that scattered around this type of base, just to make sure that they're able to regenerate sanity whenever they may need it. Now, if we go ahead and jump into the plantation setup here, as far as the pizza side of things goes, from what I have found so far, the best ratio of lettuce to tomato is actually 2 to 3, being 3 lettuce and 2 tomato, since the tomatoes actually grow a little bit faster. And with this ratio, you end up with something that looks kind of like this. It is very, very close in production, and that's what we're looking for out of all of this. Now, as far as berries and wheat go, we're going to need more of them because we're going to be making cakes as well. And because of that, I have 4 wheat and 6 berry bushes. You can, of course, increase this amount however you see fit, but I didn't feel it was necessary when I tested this. We are, of course, going to need a mill in this base to actually convert the wheat to flour, and that is obviously so we can use it to make the cakes. And last but not least, our fun little ranch setup, which is actually just a Mazzarina, a Chickpea, and a Bee Guard. So as you can see, we are on the creative version of my world, and you can kind of tell based on the passive skills at the bottom here, all saying none, and a lot of the IV levels being over 100 and stuff like that. This is a setup that I would run with personally if I had 15 pals. Essentially, we're going to be using three pals that can plant and harvest, 3 that can water, 2 that can transport, 1 of each of these ranch pals, which is going to take up 3 slots. I personally have 2 refrigerators, which means I need 2 ice pals. You can only do this with 1 refrigerator if you would prefer. And then we obviously need a lightning pal to take care of the electricity, which is going to power our electric kitchen, which is the only way to make pizza. And that is where our Ragnarok or our kindling pal comes in. He is going to be the only one that is able to cook that pizza for us. Now, none of these pals that I'm using in this example are particularly hard to get. They are all condensed, but that's something you can do over time, either with breeding or capturing more pals. However, they are all replaceable with better variants, or worse ones even, with the exception of maybe Lyline, because she's probably the best at this. The rest of these guys can definitely be replaced, and some of them I might even recommend you replace them. Personally, I would recommend that you travel to the nearest settlement, and you can simply buy tomato or lettuce seeds from the wandering merchant. It is going to be the one that looks like this and has a red outfit on. You can find one, I believe, at the small settlement at the bottom of the hill, and there's also one at Dune Shelter, which is in the desert all the way in the north up here. Just keep in mind that each plantation costs 3 seeds, and since we need 2 tomato and 3 lettuce for the way I have mine set up, you'll have to adjust your rates accordingly. I would end up needing 6 tomato seeds and 9 lettuce seeds to make these farms. Now, as far as wheat seeds are concerned, there are only 2 pals relatively early on that you're going to be running into that actually have the ability to drop these, and one of them is the Floppy here. As you can see, you can find this guy just north of where you start the game, on this entire island here, all over the place. And other than them, I believe the only other option is Dinossum, and that would be in these areas. Now, Dinossum does spawn closer to the spawn area of the game, the beginning, but, you know, they're going to be a little higher level than you are at this point, so definitely proceed with caution, but these are ways that you can get wheat seeds pretty early on. And once you have this farm all up and running and you have all of your plantations down, your ranch pals situated, I would strongly recommend you actually manually assign your pals to the ranch, because as you can see in the newest update, Beeguard particularly loves to transport and harvest now a little bit more than they like the ranch. Chicopee falls victim to the same thing sometimes, so you will end up having to adjust them accordingly pretty often, unfortunately, after this patch. Hopefully it's something they can address and fix, but for now, the best solution that I found is manually assigning them to the ranch every couple in-game days, and you should be good from there. And essentially, the way this process is going to work from here is we are going to use our electric kitchen once we have saved up resources. We are going to make ourselves plenty of pizza, whatever we want to do. You can use this pizza to either fill your feed boxes, fill your feed bag in your inventory, or you could even use it to sell for money, because it is one of the best ways, if not the best way, to actually make gold coins in Palworld now. So while these pizzas are being made, we would come over here and we would queue up our cakes. Now, in a perfect world, you would have another electric kitchen. You wouldn't want to do this on a cooking pot, but just as an example, we'll go ahead and throw a couple on there. And in a perfect world as well, obviously, you would want to have a Jormuntide Ignis and level 5 Kindling, etc., etc. This can be min-maxed heavily, but I just kind of wanted to get more of an entry level. You just got the levels you needed to make the plantations, and you were wondering what kind of farming base you could set up. That's pretty much what this video is for. Hopefully it was able to help you for something like that, and hopefully it made things a little clearer if possible. Now, keep in mind, you do want to keep this kind of base as open as possible. I even think that I may have too many things in between the pals' work areas and their beds. I might actually adjust this around a little bit myself, but the more open this kind of base is, the better. You don't want them getting stuck on anything, preferably no trees involved, no ores or anything like that. So this does the job. I've left it AFK overnight for the last 8 or so hours, and as you can see, we have ended up getting a bunch of resources in there, not including what we're actually using to cook already. So it's definitely working good, and they never got stuck. The only issue that I ended up finding when I woke up was obviously Beeguard and Chicopee working in the plantations instead of the ranch. So again, that's something you're going to have to manually fix, but we're going to go ahead and get out of here, finish this video up. I'll see you guys in the next video though. Peace.